Hello AOS fans, Robin here. I'm back again today with another 5 reasons to read post. So what's the book? Well, the book is A Hero Born by Jin Yong, the first book in the Legends of the Condor Heroes series. It's published by McLehose Press and it's going to be $14.99 and it's out this week in 21st of February, I think, 2018. It's a fantasy story set in China. It's a bit of a classic, written I think in 1957. It is been called by the publisher at least the Chinese Tolkien, and there's definitely some comparisons to be had with Tolkien in here, I would say. And so here are 5 reasons why you should read A Hero Born. Number 1, the setting. Number 1 is the setting. It's set in China, obviously, around the time of Genghis Khan and the Song and Jin dynasties. Lots of interfighting between those. It's kind of the rise of Genghis Khan. A lot of it takes place on the Mongolian steppe, so you have these amazing open vistas and mountainous landscapes, and the emptiness of the steppe really comes through in the book, and it focuses on really on one main character, Gao Jing, and he's the story at the beginning is there's two children separated at birth, and this one kind of follows him as he finds out who he is, discovers his birthright, and ends up being at the right hand of Genghis Khan. So it's a very enjoyable story. It's the first book of 4, so that's number 1 is the setting. Number 2 is the Kung Fu. Yes, this book is full of Kung Fu, which is it's very cinematic. It's very reminiscent of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. There's lots of amazing jumps and flying things and arrows being thrown at each other and blocked and caught and all that sort of thing. They all have fantastic names like using the muscle to split the bone and 5 dragons walk on water and things like that. I've made that one up, but they're all kind of things that they're really great forms of combat, and there's a bit of magic thrown in there too. So number 2 is the Kung Fu. Number 3 is the history. As I said in the setting reason, the history, this book is set in the past in China's history, and it really draws on that feudal past and the kind of world that was around then. And there's a narrator, we are a step back, or as a reader, we are a step back from the narrator. It does read a little like a history book, and we're learning about Genghis Khan mainly on the steppe, but we learn stuff about the Song dynasty and the fighting between the Song and the Qin, and it's a very clean history. We don't know about any. There's not much dirt in this book, figurative or literal, and but we kind of learn about that time. It's sort of steeped in that tradition, the history tradition of China, which is a really nice thing about the book. So that's reason 3. Reason 4 is this book's fairy tale nature. As I said, it has got a historical setting, but it's also very much a fairy tale. This very high level takes you way up above it, and you can see everything that's going on. It's a very omniscient narrator, and it's very much in a fairy tale, or maybe like an early legend, a bit like the death of King Arthur. Very step back. We don't really get to know the characters all that well, but we do see what they get up to, and there's lots of sort of slightly preposterous things like people disguise themselves and nobody notices. So on top of the Kung Fu, there's additional magic, and the magic's great, and there's awesome fighting, sword fights and all that sort of thing. And then the actual story itself is very fairy tale like. There's they're not actually brothers, but 2 sword brothers fighting alongside one another at the opening of the story, and they have pregnant wives, and they take an oath that their children will either get married if it's a boy or a girl, or they'll be sword brothers if they're boys, and then things intervene and they get separated, and the one goes sort of south, one goes north, and we mostly focus on the one who goes north. But will they ever meet? Well, who knows? And so that's that kind of very sort of separated at birth fairy tale type motif throughout the book. So that was reason 4. Reason 5 is that it's an epic story that it sweeps across a huge cast of characters. It is reminiscent of the Lord of the Rings, well, more the Silmarrillion actually, sort of, as I say, the sort of more historical nature of it, but it's a huge cast of characters over quite a period of time. This is only the first book of 4, and to be honest, this almost feels like the prologue. I know it's amazing to say that about a 400-page book. It almost feels like the prologue to what's coming. And that's possibly a slight downside of the book, is that it is quite slow, and you do have you read quite a lot. It's 400 pages. It doesn't move terribly quickly, but I really love it when it kind of builds up and it kind of the richness of it seeps through. And I wouldn't want to read something like this every day, but the richness of it and the kind of the Kungfu motif and the history motif, it kind of all builds a really satisfying whole when you get to the end, and then there's a delightful cliffhanger. But it is epic. Everything's huge. The fighting's huge. The vistas are huge. The mountains are huge. The enemies are literally huge, but they're incredibly hard to defeat, and insurmountable odds. So everything is epic, 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 and that's nice to read something like that every once in a while. It's very far fetched, very far removed from reality. Nothing gritty about it at all. But again, that's a good thing. That's a nice thing to read from time to time. So that's my 5th reason, is that it's epic. So they're my 5 reasons to read A Hero Born by Jin Yong. As I said, the first book of 4, I think, in the Legend of the Condor Heroes series. It won't be for everybody. The slightly removed viewpoint of the reader, it means you don't get involved with the characters quite so much, so it won't be to everybody's taste. But I really enjoyed it. So there were times when I thought, oh, I'm not sure about this, but actually the more you read, the more into it you get, the more understanding of what's going on, and it's definitely a grower, this one. So that is A Hero Born, very enjoyable. I'm looking forward to number 2. I'm not sure, it says in the back here actually. Number 2 is called A Bond Undone. So I should be looking forward to that whenever that comes out. So there we go. I hope you found that useful. This is it's a slightly different fantasy. It's very different to modern fantasy that gets written nowadays. It does hark back to sort of like the golden era, I suppose you might call it. But it's a very enjoyable book. So I hope you found that useful. And until next time, happy reading.